What if I told you that at least 3 players who have never played a single minute of NBA basketball are going to be top 30 players in the league just 5 years from now? What if I told you that a guy who just turned 22 years old is already an all-star and is going to be a cornerstone franchise player for the better part of this decade? And what if I told you that the player I genuinely believe will be the single best basketball player on the planet in 2031 is somebody that right now a massive chunk of the NBA world is already sleeping on? These are not casual, safe, play it down the middle predictions. These are real, committed, stand-on-it calls that I am putting on record today. And I want you to screenshot this, bookmark this, save this video, because in 5 years, we are coming back to this list together and we are going to see exactly how right or how wrong I was. That is a promise. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are doing something that I genuinely look forward to every single year, and that is my annual Top 30 NBA Players Predictions video, but with a massive twist. We are not talking about right now, we are talking about the year 2031, 5 years into the future, where some of the biggest names you watch dominate highlight reels today might have faded, and some kids who are still in college, or maybe not even in college yet, are going to be the ones running this league. This list covers 30 players, includes 3 prospects not yet in the NBA, has some genuinely controversial placements in the middle, and builds all the way up to the one player I am fully convinced will be standing at the absolute top of the basketball world in 2031. I have spent serious time putting this together, so if you are ready to have your mind challenged, your opinions tested, and maybe even your favorite player's future debated, then sit back, stay locked in, and let's get into it, because this is going to be one of the most fun videos I have made all year. Kicking off this list at number 30, we have AJ DeBoisa out of BYU. And I want to be very clear right out of the gate. I might genuinely have him too low. This kid is putting up 24 points, 6 rebounds, and nearly 4 assists a night for the BYU Cougars. And the way he scores the basketball as a wing is something we have not seen in a very long time. Some people are already drawing Kevin Durant comparisons, and while I never like to throw that name around lightly, I understand exactly why those conversations are happening. He has a legitimate shot at going number 1 overall in the 2026 NBA draft, and he will only be 24 years old when we hit the 2031 season. The reason I have him here at 30 rather than higher is purely about fit and trajectory. If he lands on a contending team early and gets locked into a secondary role before he fully develops, that ceiling might get capped in those crucial first 5 years in the league. Coming in at number 29 is Amen Thompson of the Houston Rockets, and this man is one of the most freakish athletes in the entire NBA. Full stop. As a 23-year-old right now, he is averaging 17 points, over 7 rebounds, and 5.5 assists while shooting 50% from the field, and he has already earned a spot on an all-defensive team. The problem, and it is a real one, is that he is shooting just 21% from 3 on a meaningful volume of attempts across 3 NBA seasons. If that number never moves, if we are still having the same conversation in 2031 about whether Amen Thompson can shoot, then 29 is probably right where he belongs. But if something clicks, if a shooting coach, a new system, or just pure repetition finally unlocks that jumper, then Amen Thompson could legitimately push into the top 20 with ease. And I genuinely think we have not seen his ceiling yet. At number 28, I have Stephen Castle of the San Antonio Spurs, and the reason I love this pick is that his role in San Antonio is only going to grow. Even in year 2, even sharing the floor with Devin Booker, Dylan Harper, and Victor Wembanyama, Castle has been impressive, averaging 16.5 points, 7 assists, and 5 rebounds while shooting 46% from the field. Yes, the three-point shooting is still a work in progress at just 28%, and that mirrors what we see with Amen Thompson, which is exactly why they sit one spot apart on this list, but I trust Castle's defensive instincts, I trust his work ethic, and most importantly, I trust that by 2031, he is going to be the unquestioned number 2 option on a San Antonio Spurs team that could genuinely be one of the most dangerous rosters in the entire league. Number 27 is another 2026 draft prospect, and that is Cameron Boozer out of Duke, who is doing something very simple this season. He's winning and producing at an elite level as the primary option for a top-ranked Blue Devils squad.
23 points, 10 rebounds, 4 assists, 58% from the field, and 38% from three. He's skilled, he has touch, he operates beautifully out of the short roll, and he finds shooters in the corner in a way that a lot of bigs his age simply cannot do. He's the youngest of the top 3 2026 draft prospects and will be just 23 years old in 2031, which means we may not even have seen his best basketball by the time that season tips off. And rounding out this section at number 26 is Jalen Duren of the Detroit Pistons, who is having the best season of his career at just 22 years old, averaging nearly 18 points, 10 rebounds, and shooting 63% from the field while also taking massive strides as a rim protector. He just earned an All-Star selection, he's the second best player on the one-seeded Detroit Pistons team, and the fact that he's only going to be 27 years old in 2031 makes him one of the safest picks on this entire list. When you have an all-star at 22 who is improving on both ends of the floor, you put him on the list and you do not apologize for it. Before we go any further into this list, I want to take a second to talk to you directly. If you are enjoying this video so far, if you are already disagreeing with me or nodding your head along, then do me a favor right now and hit that like button below because it genuinely helps this video reach more NBA fans who love this kind of content. If you're new here and this is the first time you're watching, I would love for you to hit that subscribe button because we do this kind of deep dive prediction content all year long and you do not want to miss a single video. And drop your thoughts in the comments section right now. Tell me which of these 5 players you think I have completely wrong, whether that's AJ DeBoisa being too low, Amen Thompson being too high, or Cameron Boozer being a steal at 27. I read every single comment and I genuinely want to know what you think, so let your voice be heard down below before we keep moving up this list. Before we get into the meat of this list, I have to be honest with you. Putting together a genuine top 30 is one of the hardest things I do all year, and there's a group of players that I wrestled with for a long time before making my final decisions. These are the guys who, depending on how the next 5 years shake out, could absolutely end up sitting comfortably between spots 25 and 30, and if you want to slot any of them in there instead of someone I already named, I'm not going to fight you on it. First up is Jamal Murray, who is going to be 33 years old in 2031 and is having another all-star caliber season right now. A proven playoff performer, a champion, and somebody whose clutch gene seems to never fade no matter what stage he's on. Right alongside Murray in terms of age and draft background is Devin Fox of the San Antonio Spurs, another former Kentucky guard who is also going to be 33 years old and who has been one of the most exciting players in the Western Conference over the last few seasons. And then we have Fox's own teammate in Dylan Harper, who will just be 24 years old in 2021. And let me tell you, it was genuinely painful to leave Harper off this list because the talent is absolutely undeniable. The main reason he's sitting here in the honorable mentions rather than in the top 30 is simple. As long as Devin Fox and Stephen Castle are in San Antonio, eating up usage and roster priority, it's difficult to project Harper reaching his statistical ceiling in that system. And at 24, he may just be hitting his stride. Sometimes the right player on the wrong roster situation can keep somebody off a list like this, and that's the case with Harper today. Continuing through the honorable mentions, I have Con Knipple, who is going to be just 25 years old in 2021, and there's a very real world where Con has cracked the top 20 by that point. He's the kind of player whose upside is so difficult to cap that you almost feel irresponsible leaving him off the main list entirely. Trey Murphy comes in here as well at 30 years old, a player whose shooting and two-way ability make him one of the most valuable wings in the league, and who I think is going to continue to grow into a more prominent role over the next half-decade. I also have Keywa George sitting in this group at 27 years old, VJ Etchome, who will be just 25, and then rounding out this honorable mention section is Brandon Miller, who will be 28 years old in 2031, and who I think is still a season or two away from fully unlocking what makes him such a matchup nightmare on the offensive end of the floor. Any single one of these players could outperform somebody already on this list, and that is exactly what makes a prediction like this so fascinating to put together every year. The margin between the players at 25 through 31 is razor thin. The NBA is absolutely loaded with talent right now, and in 5 years, the landscape could look completely different from anything we can imagine. So keep all of these names in the back of your mind as we push forward, because we are now moving into the part of this list where things start to get really interesting. Coming in at number 25, I have Donovan Mitchell of the Cleveland Cavaliers. And I want to acknowledge right away that projecting a score-first guard into his mid-30s is one of the trickiest exercises in basketball prediction. Mitchell is going to be 34 years old in 2031, and right now, as a 29-year-old, he is absolutely cooking. 29 points per game, 4.5 rebounds, 6 assists, shooting 48% from the field, 37% from three, and 85% from the free throw line. He is the unquestioned best player on a Cleveland Cavaliers team that has been one of the most consistent winning franchises in the Eastern Conference, and he might end up on an All-NBA first team before this season is over. The reason I have him here at 25 rather than any higher is that I'm using Damian Lillard as my reference point. Lillard at 34 was still a quality player, still a guy you could build around in certain situations, but he wasn't quite the elite offensive force he had been in his prime. And I think Mitchell's game, which leans heavily on his quickness, this year, he is averaging 19 points, 8 rebounds, and 5.5 assists, which is remarkably consistent with what he has given Toronto for the last 3 seasons, and he has earned his second All-Star appearance in the process. He is going to be 29 years old in 2031, which puts him right in the heart of what should be his absolute prime, and I think his defensive value alone is enough to keep him in this range on any legitimate top 30 list for the foreseeable future. The thing that keeps me from moving him higher, and I want to be honest about this, is the offense. Scottie Barnes has never quite broken through as a genuine number 1 scoring option. His three-point shooting has been inconsistent throughout his career, with a peak of just 34% back in his first All-Star season in 2024. And right now, he is shooting just 30% from deep on his lowest volume in years. If that shot ever genuinely comes around, if we see a version of Scottie Barnes who is knocking down threes at a 36 or 37% clip consistently, then everything changes, and he is crashing the top 10 of this list in a hurry. But until I see it sustained over a full season at real volume, I am keeping him right here at 15 and watching very closely. Sliding in at number 14 is Evan Mobley of the Cleveland Cavaliers, who at just 24 years old has already won a Defensive Player of the Year award and established himself as one of the most impactful big men in the entire league when it comes to protecting the paint, altering shots, and anchoring a defensive system. Last year, he made that incredible leap from 15 points per game all the way up to 18, and the expectation coming into this season was that we might see another significant jump offensively. But it has been a little bit of a mixed picture so far, with his three-point shooting dropping 7 percentage points from where it was, and a calf strain that has kept him off the floor for stretches of time. He is shooting 51% from the field, which speaks to his efficiency around the rim, and I have zero doubt that over the next 5 years, I am going to see Evan Mobley compete for Defensive Player of the Year awards on a regular basis. That part of his game feels as locked in and reliable as anything on this list. The part I am still waiting on is the full offensive expansion, the version of Mobley where he is being asked to create and score in a variety of ways, rather than primarily finishing around the rim and spotting up from the perimeter. And I think that transition to a full-time starting 5 role is going to be the key that unlocks the next level of his game heading into 2031. Now, coming in at number 13, and I fully acknowledge this might be the most controversial pick on this entire list, I have Paolo Banchero of the Orlando Magic. Let me be very clear about something before anybody comes into the comments section. If you ask me to rank the top 30 players in the NBA as of today, right now in 2026, Paolo Banchero would not be on that list. He has been genuinely frustrating to watch this season, shooting just 45% from the field and only 30% from three, while taking far too many pull-up jumpers and mid-range attempts that are simply not high-percentage plays for somebody with his physical profile. He is 6'10", he weighs 250 pounds, and instead of using that freight train body to get downhill and bully his way to the free throw line every single possession, he is settling for contested long twos like he is trying to be Carmelo Anthony, and he is not Carmelo Anthony. But here is why I still have him at number 13 in a 5-year projection. In the second half of last season, when he was fully healthy, Paolo Banchero looked like a legitimate top 10 player in the NBA. He averaged 26 points per game, he was getting to the line, he was making winning plays, and you could genuinely see the ceiling of what this player can become when everything clicks. He is only going to be 28 years old in 2031, which puts him right in the window where I expect him to be playing some of the best basketball of his entire career. And I don't think anyone's ceiling is higher than Paolo Banchero if we can get him to accept his physical gifts and use them to a maximum effect. Coming in at number 12, Tyrese Maxey of the Philadelphia 76ers, who in my view has made the most convincing leap from secondary star to genuine franchise cornerstone of anyone in the NBA this season. As a 25-year-old, Maxey is dropping 29 points, 4 rebounds, and 7 assists while shooting 47% from the field, 38% from 3, and an exceptional 89% from the free throw line. These are all NBA numbers, and he is putting them up as the clear and undisputed number one option on a Philadelphia team that has had more than its share of chaos and uncertainty over the past couple of years. He is going to be 30 years old in 2031, which puts him right in the window where I expect him to be playing some of the best basketball of his entire career. And unlike Mitchell and Brunson, who are also similar in size and style, I feel a little more comfortable about Maxey's longevity simply because we are projecting him 5 years younger than those two. The one thing I keep a close eye on is the workload. Nick Nurse is running this man into the ground at 38 minutes per night for a team that is grinding through a tough seeding situation. And all of those miles on his legs in his mid-20s are gonna add up eventually. So I'm hoping Philadelphia is more mindful of managing him as he gets deeper into his prime years. And rounding out this section at number 11 is Tyrese Halliburton of the Indiana Pacers. And I want to start by saying that before his Achilles tear, you could make a genuinely compelling argument that Halliburton was somewhere between 7th and 10th best player in the entire NBA. And that's not recency bias. That's just an honest assessment of what he was doing in the playoffs last year, when he was arguably the most clutch performer of the entire postseason. The Achilles tear is the only reason he's sitting at 11 rather than pushing the top 8, because I do not doubt his talent, his vision, or his feel for the game for even a single second. He will be between 30 and 31 years old in 2031. He is already averaging 8 free throw attempts per night this season, with an improving conversion rate of 76%. And if the right coaching voice or the right developmental situation finally gets through to him and changes his shot selection philosophy, I think he has top 5 player potential in this league, and I am not going to let one frustrating season erase what I saw from him at his best. Coming in at number 10, and I want to be upfront with you that this is probably the pick on this list that I expect the most pushback on. I have Paolo Banchero of the Orlando Magic. Now, I completely understand if your first instinct is to put Banchero somewhere closer to the 18 range alongside Franz Wagner. And honestly, a few weeks ago, I was wrestling with exactly that same question myself. But here's what changed my mind. This season, with Scoot Anderson dealing with injuries, Damian Lillard gone, and basically every meaningful piece of that Portland roster missing significant time, Deni Avdija has stepped into the role of genuine number one option and delivered in a way that I don't think enough people around the basketball world are paying attention to right now. He is averaging 25 points, 7 rebounds, and 6.5 assists, with his average skill literally about 4% under what it was last year. He is shooting just under 35% from 3 and 46% from the field. And if those free throw trips continue to come at the volume they are right now, he is getting to the line constantly. There is a realistic path where he is averaging close to 30 points per game at some point in his prime. He is going to be 28 years old in 2031, which puts him comfortably inside his prime window. And I think the combination of his playmaking ability, his defensive versatility, and his scoring upside makes him one of the most underappreciated players in this entire league right now. Some of the guys I placed between 11 and 18 might have bigger names and bigger reputations at this exact moment in time, but when I look at who I trust to be a legitimate number one option on a winning team 5 years from now, Deni Avdija is somebody I am very comfortable putting my name on. And if Portland builds the right supporting cast around him, this could look like one of the most prescient picks on this entire list when we revisit it in 2031. Coming in at number 9, and he's going to be 36 years old, and I know that the moment I say that, some of you are already questioning whether he even belongs this high, but I am putting Giannis Antetokounmpo of the Milwaukee Bucks at number 9, and I am standing on it. When Giannis is healthy and locked in, he is still a top 3 player in the world right now. The strength, the motor, the defensive presence, the relentless attacking style that just wears defenses down over the course of a game, all of it is still there at 30 years old, and the question of whether it will still be there at 36 is genuinely one of the most fascinating basketball storylines of the next half-decade. This year has been an injury-riddled season for him, and there has been so much noise and drama surrounding his future in Milwaukee. Whether a trade happens this offseason, whether he signs an extension, whether he ends up on a completely different franchise by 2031, all of that uncertainty is real, and I am factoring that into this placement. But what I keep coming back to is that Giannis's style of play, as physically demanding and full speed as it is, has always been built on a foundation of size, strength, and coordination that doesn't disappear with age the way pure quickness or explosiveness might. He may not be getting to the rim quite as easily at 36 as he does today, and his step-back jumper and mid-range game may need to become a bigger part of his arsenal going forward. But I think Giannis Antetokounmpo is going to find a way to still be a top 10 player in this league in 2031, and I am not going to let the noise of one difficult season talk me out of that belief. Sliding in right ahead of Giannis at number 8, I have Nikola Jokic of the Denver Nuggets, who will be 35 years old in 2031 and who I genuinely believe is going to age better than almost any player on this entire list. And that's not a casual statement coming from me. Jokic right now, even in a season where Denver has had all kinds of questions surrounding them, is still putting up what can only be described as video game numbers for the 6th consecutive season. 29 points, 12 rebounds, and 10 assists per game, leading the entire NBA in both rebounds and assists simultaneously as a center, while shooting 59% from the field, 42% from 3, and 84% from the free throw line. He might be the best player in the world right now, and the reason I am confident he ages exceptionally well is precisely because none of what makes him great is dependent on athleticism, quickness, or explosiveness in